another video review for you. So this one's from a company called AiVOLT. This here is their 1600 watt inverter generator. And so we're going to be doing a quick unboxing, and then we're going to do a review and give you some thoughts on it. And we're just going to put it through its paces and see just how good this little generator works. So stick around. All right, so I've not opened the box yet. I just now sliced the corners so we can speed the unboxing up so you guys are not bored to death. But whenever you receive it, it'll look something like this here. And piece of cardboard. Then you got your quick start guide here on top. And there is a lot of information on that one piece of paper, so hold on to that. And then you can see right here on top, there is the handle for the generator. It's just wrapped in plastic. All right, so when I pulled it out of the box, it comes with like a little toolkit here, and then an instruction manual and like some sort of warranty information. It does come with a 2-year warranty, so that is a good thing. So one of the things that they said on Amazon is that this thing is supposed to weigh 28 pounds. So I've got a set of scales right here, zeroed out, and you guys can see right here, 28.2 pounds. So that's right on the money from what it says on Amazon. All right, so I just wanted to get you guys some quick measurements. I like testing to make sure this is accurate, because sometimes on Amazon they'll post measurements and they're not right. But this one was. So this one here says that it was 15 3/4 of an inch tall, and that was true. And then I wanted to get a measurement of the width here, and it's just under 10 inches. All right, so we're just gonna go over the front of the generator here just real quickly. And I just wanted to show you, you've got 3 LED lights right here on the very top. And this first one here, it's for the output. It just lets you know that the generator is running correctly when it lights up green and that it's producing power. Second LED there is an overload indicator, and it's red, and it illuminates when the generator is overloaded, which means the generator wattage is been exceeded. So it's just letting you know you've got too much stuff plugged into it, and to go ahead and unplug something because it's too much of a strain on the generator. And then the third light right there is, it says oil, and it's a oil level indicator light, and it lets you know that if your oil is low, and it's just a safety feature to keep you from burning up the generator. That's very handy to have, because these things are running constantly and they are going to use oil from time to time, and so that just keeps you alert and keeps you from messing your generator up. All right, so next we're gonna go right here. This is your hour meter, and that just helps keep track of the time and how many hours your generator has ran, and that way you can also use that to monitor for whenever you're gonna do your oil changes and your service intervals and stuff for your spark plug and air filter and all that. And then down below, you've got these 2 little toggle switches here. And one of the things I do like about this is they are waterproof. They've got like a plastic housing around them, and just protects that toggle switch from getting dirt and maybe some moisture or something down in there. And that's pretty neat. But that there is your on and off switch for the generator. And then this switch right here is your eco mode. And so that pretty much just, when you put it in eco mode, it just lowers the RPM. If you're trying to power something that don't use very much wattage, then you'll want to run it in eco mode, because it's going to save you gas, and also the engine's not going to rev up as much, and it's going to be quieter. So whenever you're using something that's a higher load, then obviously you want to take it off of eco mode so the engine revs up higher. But like I said, if you're just charging, let's say like a cell phone or something, and it's not going to use much power, then you would just put it on eco mode. So that's really handy. And then right here you got a reset switch. Let's say it's pretty much just like a circuit breaker in a house, and you can use this to reset it. And then there is your light right there for that reset. And then you've got a grounding stud right in there where you can ground the unit if you want to. That's totally up to you guys, but if you're using this thing, they do recommend that you ground most generators. Most people don't, but that's what they recommend. All right, so these 2 outlets right here are for connecting 2 of the AiVOLT generators together in parallel, and that way you can double your output from 16 to 3200 watts. And so that's what you would need right there to connect the two together. Now you will have to buy a cable. I'm sure you would have to reach out, maybe Amazon, and get a connector to connect both generators together, but that's where you would do it. And then right here, you've got, it's a USB on top, USB-C on the bottom. Now, I wasn't expecting that. Most of these companies just put USB on there and they just kind of forget about the USB-C. I'm glad that they finally started doing that, because most of the stuff that you buy now is starting to switch over to USB-C, and it's just faster, and I like that. So yeah, that's a good feature. And then they've got a little cover, a little rubber cover that fits over that to keep dust, dirt, and all that stuff out of there. And then right here, you've got your 220 volt AC outlets, and they're rated at 20 amps. And you can see right there, you got two of those, and they've got this little rubber cap that goes over top of them, just like that. And then down below, you've got a couple vents right in here. And that's where your air is gonna be going in and out of this unit, and to keep it nice and cool, and to also help it breathe. But there's a light right here, and it's very important. It's probably one of the most important features on this generator. This one here is a CO, carbon monoxide watch guard indicator light, and if it turns red, it'll shut off, and then yellow for service. And so that'll just keep you protected in case the fumes get built up too much and it becomes unsafe. That'll just light up and let you know what's going on. And definitely want to make sure that you run this thing outdoors. Do not try to run this generator indoors whatsoever, because it is a silent killer and it can kill you. So make sure that you only run any generator that's gas powered outside. All right, so next we've turned the unit to the side. I'm gonna start here at the top at the gas cap. And I guess the first thing that I noticed was this little dam area that's built around the filler neck there, because with everything that's gasoline, you're gonna spill a little bit from time to time on accident, and that just keeps it from pouring on top of the unit, because it channels it out and has it spill over the side there. So I do like that feature. And then right here on the gas cap itself, I wanted to unscrew it and show you the top of it. This is a vented gas cap, and that way you can see right there it says off and on. And before you crank it up, you want to turn it to the on position and go ahead and vent it, and that way there's not gas pressure build up in there. So the way that you do that is you just turn it, and you can see when it's turned on that it lines up right there, and it vents the gas tank. It makes a little hole, and then when you turn it off, then it blocks it off there. So you can see that there's no hole for gas to vent. So yeah, that's pretty neat that it's got the vented gas cap. And then right in here, this is your fuel shutoff switch. Now it's clearly labeled right there for on, and it's on the on position now. It's pointing to it right in here. And then to turn it off, you just counterclockwise turn that to the off position, and that turns the fuel off. So moving on, we're going to go right here. This is your little choke lever, and what you want to do to go ahead and start the unit is you want to move it all the way over to the right. And then once you pull your cord and it starts up, then you want to move this choke lever over to the run position. So it's very, very simple. And then right in here, you've got your pull rope, and since there's no oil in it, I'm not going to mess with it. It does have a tag right here. It says stop. Your machine has been shipped without engine oil. Do not add fuel or start engine before adding oil. That's just a safety precaution. And I'm going to show you how to add the oil, and I'm going to show you where the spark plug is. So stick around. All right, since we're already on this side, I guess I'd go ahead and show you guys how to remove this little side panel here. And this is where you would take this off to add oil to the unit. And so I went ahead and started loosening the screw here on top. I've never had this off before, so this is the first time. And we're going to do it together. And you can see right there that it just pulls off with that one Phillips head screw. And you're just going to take this, put your screw in there, set it aside, and then you can see right in there, there is your dipstick And so you can unscrew that, and you can see that it's got a little residual oil from the factory on there, but that's where you're going to add oil to the unit. That's where you're going to drain the oil from the unit. So this is going to be very important because, like I said, you're going to, add oil right in there, and then when it's time to do the oil change, you're going to tip the unit over on its side, and you're going to drain oil from there. And again, they've got this set up really nice because if you look right in there, like a little gutter built in up underneath that drain, and that gutter extends over onto this orange piece right here. And so whenever you go to tip it over, oil don't just fall into that hole and get in there in the machine, and it's just an oily mess. No, the oil falls off that little gutter onto this plastic gutter, and you can just pour it into a 5-gallon bucket. And that's what I like to do a lot of times, is just set these over on top of a 5-gallon bucket and just let all the oil drain out of them. It's very simple to change the oil in a small engine like this. All right, so I'm going to show you guys how to add oil to the generator there. And on page 14 of the manual, it does have a specifications chart that does tell you that it needs 10W30 and the oil capacity is 11.8 fluid ounces. On page 17, it says, this generator on a flat level surface, unscrew and remove the engine service cover and access the oil dipstick. Remove the oil dipstick using the supplied 4-cycle engine oil and funnel. Slowly add engine oil to the engine until full. Well, they didn't supply any oil. I didn't see any. So they need to make a change in their main. It said that it requires the 10W30, and then on the next page it had like a chart for the different oils for your climate. So for me, I'm just going to go ahead and use the 1030. That's what I've used in my other generators, and this is just what I was able to pick up at Walmart. It's just the full synthetic 10W30 Super Tech. And by all means, it's not the best that you can buy, but it's just what I had available. Now, if you're wondering, how do you get that 11.8 fluid ounces and know how much you're putting in there? Well, for me, I do a lot of generator reviews and things like that, and so I want to be precise when I tell you guys something on my channel. So what I do is I went to Walmart and picked up this little container here. This is for mixing like your boat fuel and oil and stuff. And so if you look here on the side of the container, it's got like the fluid ounces marked right here on the side. And I went ahead and filled it up to the 11-ounce mark there. And I know that it said that it would take 11.8 ounces, but I'm going to just go ahead and put 11 in there and see if that's too much or if I need some more, because I have found through all my generator reviews that a lot of the times they'll say that it will take a certain amount, and it's usually wrong. And that comes to the other thing that I'm going to use today, and that is, I've got an old tote lid right here. I just flip it upside down and stick the generator on there, because if it leaks, you're going to have a mess, because it's going to leak right out that little gutter and right onto this, and I'm able to wipe it up real quick. So anyways, I'm going to quit rambling. I'm going to pull the dipstick out, set it on a clean rag, get me another one, and then I'm going to go ahead and I could take and screw in this funnel here, but I think just for simplicity's sake, to show you guys, I'm going to use this funnel here, and I just like the way that it sets right in there. So anyways, like I said, I've got 11 fluid ounces right here. I'll go ahead and pour it in. Try not to take so much time. I don't want this video to be super long and bore you guys to death, but you can see it's going in pretty quick. Alright, so as you guys can see, I just put the 11 ounces in there. I'm going to clean that funnel off, and I'm going to get a light and see if I can see down in there and see if I need more oil or if that's full. Alright, so like I said, I've got 11 ounces in there, and I just wanted to show you something. You can see that there's oil right there on those bottom threads for the dipstick, and I can't really see in there. Even with a flashlight, when I try to zoom in there, I can see a little bit, but it's not until I shake the generator a little bit I can see the oil sloshing around in there. So that lets me know that I put 11 ounces in there, and it is right there to the bottom of those threads, so that is full. And so I'm not going to put any more by the time I put that dipstick in there and it pushes in on that oil a little bit more, it's going to raise it even higher. So 11 ounces is where I would put it, and check it and see if you need any more. But I would definitely start at 11 ounces. I don't think you're going to be able to get the 11.8 ounces in there, and plus there's probably a little bit of oil from the factory still left in the engine from like the assembly or whatever. So I did notice a little bit of oil, residual oil right here on the outside of the air filter cover. So nothing major, but I'm fixing to take that off and show you guys here in a second. But as far as the oil, 11 ounces. Now, one thing I do want to say as far as like the oil, whenever you do run this thing for your first oil change, I probably wouldn't run it no longer than maybe 2 hours. Me personally, I'm probably going to run it maybe an hour, and I want to change the oil just simply because a small engine like this, it doesn't have an oil filter, so all the particles and stuff from the engine break in, the metal particles are going to be just floating around through there causing wear. So the faster you can, you know, get that oil changed, the better. So, and oil is cheap, so I would much rather go ahead and change the oil sooner than later. And you know, like I said, I'll probably run it an hour, and for that first hour you don't want to just run it you know, at one speed. You want to kind of make that speed variable, but don't load it all the way down. Don't max it out to the, you know, the highest it can produce the wattage. You want to, you know, plug something in here that's, you know, about half the rated wattage. And so this one here is rated, I think it says 1600 starting watts, but 1260 running watts. So I would probably do something 600 watts or less for the first hour, and then I would do that oil change, and then after that you should be good to go, and it'll tell you your oil change intervals and all that. But next we're just going to go ahead and check the air filter. There's a screw right here on the bottom. You just unscrew that, and it should just come undone, and you can see right there there's a little bit of residual oil. I'm gonna go ahead and clean that off, and then you can see right there, this is your air filter. And this is just a foam reusable air filter. You can clean it and, you know, wash it, and that way you don't have to keep buying air filters and things like that. Now I did notice that on this side there's a little bit of residual oil, so I'm just gonna flip it over, put it on that side just for now. There's not enough on there to do any harm, and besides, once you wash these, they say to coat them in like a light oil anyways. So I'm just gonna put it back in there. Everything seemed to, you know, be nice and clean in there. Like I said, just a little bit of residual oil, and that ain't gonna do any harm. But the way that you put that back on there, it's got a little notch right in there. You just hook it right there at the top, and then it hooks in place, and then you use the supplied screwdriver to tighten it back up. And once that's tight, you should be good to go. So now I've got everything secured, got the oil in it, got the air filter tightened back up in place, and now I'm going to go ahead and put that little side cover on. You can see there's a little notched area there, and they just fit right in just like that. And then you push it down, and you can see right there it's threaded for the little bolt. It's a Phillips head, by the way. Goes in easy, tightens up easy, and now you're good to go. All right, so I went ahead and spun the generator around, and this here is the side where the access panel is here on top, and it's got a little place right there, a little place for your thumb, and you just kind of pull back on that. I might need to use the supplied screwdriver for it. They've got a Phillips on one side, you flip it around, it's a flathead on the other. This has never been off before, so I'm gonna try to pry back on it. There it goes. All right, so sorry about the flying cover there. I didn't feel like tearing my thumbs off today, but yeah, if you'll just take and pull, wedge in and pull back, and you know, it's got this little lip piece here. You can see right in there. It connects up here at the top. If you'll pull back on that, then it comes right off, and then you can kind of see down in there. And I've never pulled this off myself, so we're just going to kind of look in there and see what all we can see. And you can see this little access panel is very handy, because right there is your coil, and then right here is your spark plug, and it goes right down there to the cylinder. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull the spark plug off like I always like to do. That's just a pet peeve of mine. I just like pulling the spark plug out and checking it out. And I try to be careful and not damage the wire. There we go. And you can see right there, there's your spark plug wire. And then you can see the spark plug down in there. You can see where I'm pointing to it. Right there is your spark plug. So I told you guys that they give you a tool that comes with it. They give you the screwdriver here, and then they give you this little wrench. And so it's got the wrench on one side, and I just take and slide it down on that spark plug, and then you've got a hole right here. So you just take the screwdriver, slide it in there, and let's see, just untighten it. So you're gonna do lefty loosey. So let me get here where I can get some torque on it and loosen it up. And shouldn't be on there real tight no ways. Finally got the spark plug broke loose there. It was a little tighter than I would have liked, but oh well. Probably some little Chinese guy in a factory over there tightening these things up with an impact wrench. But we're going ahead and unscrewing it, and there we go. There is your spark plug. And I always, like I said, I always like checking them and seeing if they're damaged, see if the threads are damaged, see if the electrode's damaged, and just checking them out and making sure that that's the right spark plug. It says it's an A5R-TC and it's an LG plug. So I've ran into those LGs before, and they actually work pretty good for a little cheaper plug. All right, so if you like me and you want to have another spark plug on hand, I'm not going to go back with the LG spark plug. They're not known for making spark plugs anyways. I always like Champion stuff, so I'm going to go back with the Z9Y. That's what it cross references to. So if you're like me and you want to keep an extra spark plug on hand and you know, just be prepared, you pick you up a Champion Z9Y. I'll put a link to it in the description. I'm an Amazon affiliate, so if you want to buy it from my link, and I'd sure appreciate it, and that'll help me out and give me maybe a whole dime or a quarter. Help my channel along a little bit, but every bit helps, so I do appreciate that. Anyways, you'll have a better spark plug to keep on hand. And one little last thing that I want to mention is before I put this spark plug back in there, as tight as it was in there, and it was hard for it to come out, so this time I'm gonna go ahead and just put like a little dab of anise on the threads. And when I say a dab, I'm just talking just a tiny little bit right there on the threads, and that'll just keep it, preventing it from galling up and seizing up inside that aluminum cylinder. And so next time when you go to replace the spark plug, it won't be such a booger to get it in and out. Now keep in mind, you don't want to put so much on here that it gets on the electrode or none of that. So if you did get some on there, then wipe it off. But you can see right there, I just put a little bit on the threads. All right, so you can see I went ahead and put the spark plug in there, and I didn't torque it down like it come from the factory. And then next, I'm gonna go ahead and just take and push that spark plug boot and wire back on there just like that. And you should be able to hear it click. And there it goes, it clicked in place and it's seated. And then next, I'm just gonna go ahead and slide the cover back on, and I'll try not to sling it across the room this time. You can see right there, it's on there nice and tight. Show you guys how to change the oil, or how I do it, and make it easy on you. So first, you can see I've got a 5-gallon bucket full of oil. This is where I've changed a lot of the small engines, just like this, just putting it right over the top of the bucket, letting it drain in there. And so this is no different. I'm just gonna pull the dipstick out of here, and I'm gonna set it right there on that paper towel, just like that. And then now I'm just gonna take the generator, I'll set it right on top of the bucket here, and I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna make sure that it just slowly drains out. And earlier today, I went ahead and ran the generator, and I operated the generator different RPMs. I'd plug stuff into it and just play around with it. Anyways, I could sit here and just have this tilted over. What I'm gonna do, like I normally do, is just leave this laying over on its side. I ran it out of gas, so gas wouldn't be pouring out. And so anyways, I'm just gonna let this oil flow out of there till all of it's out, and then I'm just gonna refill it, just like I'm putting oil in it, like I showed you guys in the earlier steps. So, all right, so I went ahead, let it lay over on its side and drain into that 5-gallon bucket for a few minutes there. Now I'm just going to go back and wipe everything down, and you can see it's an easy oil change and easy cleanup because everything stays on this little area right in here, and it just funnels it right where you want it, and it doesn't spill out back in there. So you know, it's very easy to do the oil changes. So just once I wipe everything down, now it's time to put oil back in the unit. So in the last part of the video, you seen me change the oil. Well, fast forward a couple days, and anyways, I went ahead and got fresh oil in here, put some gas in here, and I want to show you guys just how to start the unit. So come a little closer. What we're going to do next is go ahead and crank the unit. You can see right here in the front, I've got the fuel switch set to on. I'm gonna put the unit on choke, and then once it starts running, then I'm gonna move it over to run. But when I start it, I'm gonna leave it on choke. Now here on the front of the unit, I've got the eco mode turned off, and the eco mode is right there. It's off, and then the engine start stop switch is set to on. So all we got to do now is just crank it, and I'll just show you. It is cold, it's not warm. There's the muffler. All right, here we go. First pull, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to do put a load on it and see how it handles that. We're going to test the sine wave, and we're going to test the voltage and everything, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so you can see right in here, I've got a light plugged up here in the USB port, and then down below I've got a phone charger. It's a USB-C. And I've got the other end right here. We're going to plug up a cell phone. And you can see right there charging. Alright, so I just wanted to show you the voltage right here on the watt meter. It shows that it's 123.7 volts, 6 volts. And then right there at the bottom, it's at 60 hertz, and that's exactly what you want here in the United States. And then I've got an oscilloscope down here on the bottom, and when I probe it, you can see that it's a nice clean sine wave. So alright, it's all really good. Alright guys, now this generator is rated at 1600 watts peak and 1260 running watts. So what that means is it can handle the peak wattage just for a couple of seconds, and the running wattage is the maximum amount of wattage you can put on it. Now it's obviously not good for it to run at its maximum all the time, but you know, we're going to plug in a space heater, and we're going to run it on low. Should be around, I guess, 500 watts or so. And then we're going to plug on some other stuff and see if we can get a little bit higher, closer to the 1260, and see how it reacts. So here we go. Now it's on low. Let me switch this over here. 500 watts, 650. 700 watts, 800, 860, 927, 945, 950, 925. Now it's coming back down and stabilizing out. And you can see right there, it's about 845. Guys, you can see right there with the space heater on low, it's 823, and then I put in a jumper wire down below it, and I've got another watt meter here, and it's plugged into this hair dryer. Now I'm just going to run the fan, and it should be around 200 watts, so there's going to be no heat from this, just fan. So right there, that's 820 with 200 more watts. That should be 1020. So let's see what it'll go.
what happened. It ran over 1,200 watts. It was at 1,209 watts, and it did it for like maybe a minute, and then it had enough. And so you can see right there, it overloaded. So, but you know, me personally, I never recommend running these things to their very maximum, because that's what can happen. You don't, if you're buying a generator to run a 1,500 watt heater, I would definitely go way above. I mean, I would look for something that may be, you know, close to 3,000 running watts, because the heater is 1,500 watts, and if you plug anything else in it small, then you know, if you got a generator that is not struggling so much, it's going to last a lot longer than having to run at its max RPM like this thing was doing just then. But you know, it was able to get right on up there. Like I said, it was at 1,209 watts, and these watt meters might be a little bit off, but you know, it was real close. So pretty impressed with the generators. Seemed to run them both pretty good for just a minute there. And yeah, so yeah, this is a small generator to be able to run that much stuff. I mean, this is a tiny package generator. So anyways, I guess the only thing that's left to do now is take it down here and do a dB test for the sound. So come on. All right guys, so we got the generator out here. We've got 23 feet of measuring tape laid out, and then we're going to do several different tests. Where the first test, we're going to run the generator off of eco mode, so it'll run at its, you know, highest RPM with no load. And so then we're going to run it on eco mode and watch it drop RPM, and we're going to give you a dB reading. And then next, for the final test, we're going to run these damn dogs in the video. All right, and then for the last test, we're going to plug the space heater in and run it on high, and we're going to get a dB reading. So stay tuned. All right guys, so you can see the generator is at full speed. It's off of eco mode, and when I quit talking, we'll see what the dB rating is. Looks like it's going to be 61 dB at 23 feet with no load on the highest RPM setting. All right guys, so now the unit is on eco mode and there's no load on it, and I'm going to be quiet and you can see what it is. Looks like it's 60 dB. So next we're going to go ahead and put the space heater, run it on high, take it off of eco mode, and see how loud this thing can be in a real world test. Alright guys, there we go. Got the space heater on high, between 65 and 66 dB. So it's not too bad. Alright guys, and now we're right on top of the generator here, and it's off of eco mode, so it's running at its higher RPM and there's no load on it. And then I just want to give you an idea of what it sounds like. And then next we're going to go ahead and turn the space heater back on, just to give you an idea of how loud it is with the space heater right up on it. All right guys, so there it is with a space heater on high. About 83, 84 decibels with us right on top of it. Now if you're wondering, why did the generator just cut out there at the end? And the reason being is because I turned that heater on high, and that thing is over 1,400 watts, where this generator is only supposed to be able to get up to 1,260 running watts. But you've seen that it still ran it for a few seconds and before it cut out, enough for me to make a video and tell you guys what the RPMs would be. So at the very, very max RPM, that's what you would see. All right guys, I appreciate you watching this video. I know it was a little long and drawn out, but I just give an honest review, and I tested this thing out. And if you're interested, please check out my link. I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you buy from my link, it does help my channel out, and it doesn't cost you guys any more, rather than, you know, just looking it up yourself. Like I said, it doesn't cost you guys more, and I might make $1 or $2 commission on this. It's not much, but you know, every bit helps to further my channel. And so you guys seen, this is a really nice generator, and the one thing that sets this generator apart from some of the others is its size. You know, this thing is really small, and you know, the case on this is a lot smaller than some of the other generators of its size. So I just wanted to point that out. I give you guys the dimensions on the generator in the very beginning of the video if you want to go back and look at this. But I do want to point out one more time that this is a 1260 running watt generator, and it has a 1600 watt peak. So, you know, keep in mind, you know, you're not going to be able to run big stuff on this. It's going to be, you know, for somebody who wants to run smaller things, maybe like a little small cooktop stove. You know, I'm not sure what kind of wattage they use, but if it's under that 1260 watts, then that would be at its max. But I would find something that's 1,000 watts or less, you know, just to be safe. And you can run pretty much anything that's 1,000 watts on this. So if you want a little hair dryer, you know, on low, you could run that. If you want a space heater on low, you could run that. If you want to charge cell phones and lights and things like that, you can run lots of lights and things like that. But anyways, seems to be a good generator, runs good, always starts easy, and you know, it's fairly reasonable price. So anyways, thanks for watching. And anyways, if you're interested, this is the A-Gen 1600cc from AiVOLT. So till next time, guys, see ya.